We're delighted to have Mike Fifer, President and CEO of Ruger. Now Mike, this is a very big time for Ruger. We saw some new products that our members are going to see in the pages of the magazine, on our websites. But the thing that I'd like to ask you about first is the Million Gun Challenge. Where did that idea come from?
Well, Mark, I got inspired when I was at the NRA show in Pittsburgh. You know, I listened to all the various speeches and things, and I thought about what could Ruger do more. Typically, we have a special NRA gun each year that we give $20 or $25 a gun, and that is often $100,000 to $150,000 a year. And I wanted to do a whole lot more, and I decided I wanted Ruger to give $1 million to the NRA to help them in this really critical year. And then I had the challenge, how am I ever going to get that by my board of directors? And as I thought about it, somebody mentioned, gee, Bill Ruger had always wanted to do 1 million guns, and he never quite made it. The most he ever did was 844,000 guns one year. And so that was our goal. I figured, well, I can sell that to the board, and I did. They were really enthusiastic about it. So we've committed to giving $1 for every gun we make and sell this year, whether we make 1 million or not. Doesn't matter, and we're paying every quarter because you need it now to fight the battle. You know, we're not going to wait to the end. But I tell you, we're on track. We're halfway through because the year is from one NRA show in Pittsburgh to the next one in St. Louis. We're halfway through and we're at 566,000 guns. We're pretty excited.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, it's any Ruger that a guy buys new at a gun shop, right?
That's right.
So if a guy goes in and he buys his LCP, he buys a 1022, that counts.
It all counts.
That's great. You know, today when I was going through the plant, I was here in the 90s, and just the sea change in this Newport, New Hampshire manufacturing facility. It looks like a lot of the same workforce. So, you know, there were guys that we were running into today that have been there. You know, one guy was the new guy. He was 3 years. Another guy was 20 years. But you guys have really changed up how you make guns here. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we have. First off, we've reinvested heavily in the business. We've got a lot of new equipment in. I'm sure there's at least 100 new machining centers in the building, and probably twice that. About 5 years ago, we really cleaned up the place. We took out 47 tractor trailer loads of just old stuff that hadn't been used, machines that hadn't been plugged in years. So we've cleaned it up, created a lot of space. We've offered a lot of training to all our employees. We brought in new machinery. We're trying to do what some of the new manufacturing techniques like single piece flow and pull systems. And the most important thing of all, we're introducing new products. And we're trying right from the beginning to design them not only to be a lot of fun to use in the field, but to be manufacturable. That makes a huge difference. So we are producing now probably twice as many guns out of this factory as 5 years ago with the same exact workforce.
Wow. As a guy who's been in the firearms industry for a while, I've been on American Rifleman for more than two decades. And it used to be that when a product was introduced, and you wouldn't see it for a couple of years, we called that pulling a Ruger. Now, under your leadership, that is not happening anymore. Can you tell me how you guys went about that change?
Well, when I joined the company, I went and spent a lot of time out at retail, both meeting the owners of the retail shops, but also working the counters to hear what the consumers had to say. And one of the things that was impressed upon me the strongest was that we give away a lot of goodwill when we announce a product, get a magazine cover, American Rifleman, and then wait 2 years to ship the product. It was just pounded into me. We've got to ship the product, get it to retail, and then tell the world about it. So that's what we're trying to do. We actually, on Wednesday of this week, are going to announce a new handgun, but we shipped it Wednesday of last week.
So when a guy hears about it, he can go to the store and he can buy it.
That's our goal. It's hard to pull off. It sounds simple, but it's actually hard to pull off, but we're trying.
It's a major culture change for Ruger. Speaking of culture changes for Ruger, there are guns that have the Ruger name on it that we never thought we'd see. The LCP, for example, the LC9, the Scout Rifle. How do you guys determine, you know, we're just going to step outside our corporate box and do this product?
Well, some of it our favorites are the staff. But usually what gets real priority is we go out and ask the consumers, we ask the retailers, the distributors, we try to find out what everybody else wants. And usually there's a groundswell of interest in something, and then we go build it.
The thing about Ruger is not only can you come up with a good design, you have a very talented engineering department, but you have the capability to make these guns and to make them right.
Well, we do. We do an awful lot of testing. For example, our LC9, which won Handgun of the Year this year, we used more than 600,000 rounds of ammunition in testing it. And we have our whole jury testing program that after the manufacturing plant says it's ready to go, after all the engineers have signed off for it, we'll have somewhere between 30 and 50 layman shooters, not professional shooters, take the gun and each put 1,000 rounds through the gun. And if we find any problems at all, it goes back to the plan for tweaking, tuning up the design till we get it just right.
Great. Now, Mike, what do you think is the most important change that you've made at Ruger?
I think listening to our customers. Bill Ruger was brilliant. Every company ought to have a Bill Ruger or a John Browning, but you only get one in the history of the company. And when that brilliant engineer passes on, then you've got to actually start asking your customers for what they want. Because you only get one. We had ours, and, we used our turn-up, and now we actually have to ask people what they want.
Now, Ruger is committed to some of the traditional products, the single actions that Bill Ruger designed, obviously perhaps made a little differently today than in his day. You guys still offer the #1, but at the same time, you're innovating. You're doing guns like the LC9. You're doing the RCR, which is a gun that I never thought I would see that gun with the Ruger name on it. That type of gun, a polymer revolver, who does that?
Well, we were the first, and we're having a lot of fun. All these new guns get us as excited as they do the consumer base. So we have a blast going. We can't wait to work on the next one.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Mike. And before the NRA annual meetings in St. Louis, you need to go out and get your Ruger.